Welcome back to The Explainer. Today, we're diving straight into a really foundational piece of historical text. We're going to be unpacking the core narrative of Jesus Christ's crucifixion and resurrection. Now, regardless of your background, there is no denying this is a story that has profoundly shaped global culture and history. So our goal today is to objectively lay out exactly what the source text says happened, how the narrative is structured, and what it claims those events actually mean. Okay, let's dive into this. The source material kicks things off by anchoring us in a very specific time frame. It details an event from over 2,000 years ago, but one whose narrative ripples are literally still felt today. Right out of the gate, the text makes a massive foundational claim. It states that Jesus Christ willingly gave his life for the sins of the world. So it's positioning this not as some tragic accident of history, but as a deliberate, highly purposeful act. Part 1, the ultimate willful sacrifice. The text specifically frames Jesus' journey as an intentional surrender, one driven by an incredibly deep love for humanity. From there, the narrative really hits the gas. We get this rapid timeline of intensely negative events. First, he's betrayed, then arrested. After that, he is falsely accused and ultimately sentenced to die on a cross. A huge theme here is the stark contrast between his innocence and the way he's treated. The narrative explicitly points out that even though he was completely innocent, he endured severe mocking, beating, and immense suffering. And according to the text, his ability to endure all of that was rooted entirely in his love for humanity. Part 2. 6 hours at Golgotha. Let's move to and see how this builds, because as we arrive at the location of the crucifixion itself, the narrative style actually shifts. The rapid, chaotic pace of the trial and sentencing gives way to a prolonged period of intense suffering. The pacing of the text significantly slows down here, really asking the reader to stop and reflect on the gravity of what's happening at this execution site. The text zeroes in on a very specific number here, 6. For exactly 6 hours, he hung on the cross. But the source doesn't just focus on the physical pain. As horrific as it was, it assigns a massive theological weight to this time frame. It claims that during these 6 hours, he was actively bearing the weight of humanity's sins. So it's presented as this highly concentrated period of both immense physical endurance and profound spiritual burden. And right in the middle of this profound suffering, the text gives us a striking response from Jesus toward the very people executing him. The account records him praying, "Father, forgive them, for they do not know what they are doing." It's an absolutely defining moment in the narrative. Instead of anger, instead of retaliation, the text portrays a reaction of supreme empathy and forgiveness. And then we hit the narrative climax. After those 6 hours of bearing that immense weight, the text records a final, definitive cry. It is finished. Following those words, the account tells us he gave up his spirit. This signifies the absolute completion of the suffering and the willing end of his physical life. Part 3, the torn temple curtain. Immediately following his death, the source introduces a surprising, highly symbolic aftermath. And this brilliantly illustrates the profound shift that the text says just occurred. It describes an event happening right at that exact moment, but miles away in the religious center of the city. The thick curtain of the temple was suddenly torn in two. Now, in the context of this culture, the temple curtain represented a hard barrier. Before this event, it symbolized a strict separation between humanity and the presence of God. But with the curtain torn, the text claims that through Jesus, that barrier was entirely removed. The physical tearing symbolizes a brand new, direct line of access to the divine. So you might be wondering, was this the end of the story? We've got the betrayal, a 6-hour crucifixion, a dramatic death, and a torn temple curtain. It seems incredibly final, right? Well, this is exactly where the source material executes a sharp, sudden pivot. Part 4. Defeating sin and death. The narrative completely refuses to end at the cross. Instead, it abruptly shifts gears from sorrow to absolute triumph. It flips the script on what looked like a total defeat and accelerates into an account of what it presents as the ultimate victory. The timeline now hinges on the number 3. 3 days later, the source claims Jesus rose from the dead. This right here is the absolute cornerstone of the text's entire message. It states that by rising on that third day, he didn't just come back to life, he permanently defeated sin and death itself. The resurrection is presented as the definitive proof of this victory. Part 5, the greatest demonstration of love. This leads us to the final takeaways of our explainer. The source text ultimately reframes the cross. It's not presented as a horrific tragedy, but as the supreme demonstration of God's love for the world. all the suffering, the 6 hours, the mocking. The narrative recontextualizes all of it into one deliberate act of love. So, the crucial point is what this means for humanity according to the text. Because of this ultimate demonstration of love, the source clearly lists 3 promised gifts available through Jesus Christ. Number 1, forgiveness. Number 2, salvation. And number 3, eternal life. These 3 concepts are the ultimate conclusion of the entire sequence of events we've just mapped out today. To really summarize its core thesis, the source hits us with a climactic quote from John chapter 3, verse 16. It simply reads, "For God so loved the world that he gave his one and only Son." That single sentence beautifully encapsulates the entire architecture of the narrative we've explored, the motivation of love, the action of giving, and the central focus on the Son. Which leaves us with this final, lingering thought to consider as we wrap up. If the cross is indeed the greatest demonstration of love, exactly as the text claims, how does that transform our understanding of forgiveness today? Whether you approach this text historically, culturally, or personally, the narrative challenges us to think deeply about what radical love and sacrifice actually look like in practice. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Keep seeking understanding, and I'll catch you next time.